everyone, it's Toby here from Full Time Media, and we're back again with another UFC preview and joined again by Chris Power. Chris, how you doing, man?
Oh, mate, living the dream. How have you been?
Yeah, yeah, pretty good. It's I've been away for the week, and what started that trip away was going to see Eternal, and you fought on Eternal. So hey, let's talk about your pro debut. How you feeling?
Yeah, it didn't quite go according to plan, obviously. I definitely would have preferred to walk away with the win, but a lot of experience gained out of it as always. Still quite happy with how the fight went and everything. Like it wasn't as if I had big glaring mistakes or anything. I got my neck caught in a transition, like wrestling up from the ground. I got taken down. I felt pretty good in bottom position, keeping myself safe. Grip fought and just like waited, bought my time, and then I tried to wrestle back to my feet, and that was where I got my neck collected. But could have, would have, should have. Like if I didn't try wrestle up there, there's a good possibility. Like I think that was about the halfway mark of the round. So like I'm stuck on bottom for another 2.5 minutes. There's a very good chance I'm getting my face elbowed to pieces. So I was pretty happy with how it still turned out once I could take a little bit of time, drink enough beers, and sort of get over the initial hurt in that loss. But yeah, it is what it is. I'll be back very soon, and I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah, the beauty of, I guess, a stoppage by submission pretty early on is you wouldn't have taken much damage, so you'd be looking to get back into the cage pretty soon.
Yeah, pretty soon. Like as everyone that's been asking, "Oh, how you doing, man?" It's like, it's just a bruised ego. Like absolutely no other damage taken in that one. So, yeah. But I mean, congrats to Dom as well. Like as I'm sitting here going, "Oh, I didn't do anything wrong," but it's like, well, he did a lot right to be able to get his hand raised there. So,
Yeah, he kind of did
cool, dude.
everything right. Free
Yeah,
ankle.
absolutely everything right.
Yeah, and yeah, really, yeah, he was a really nice guy.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's cool to hang out with him, have a beer after.
yeah, yeah, and then yeah, the first thing because I saw you straight after the fight, and yeah, the first thing you did was you apologized to me, and you're pretty down and
Everyone.
upset. You're
Yeah.
apologizing to everyone.
I don't know. It's probably I didn't feel I gave it my best crack, maybe, and that was where I was really kicking myself at the time. But again, that's a thing that you learn from there as well. It's like, well, it's not just I didn't have a good enough crack because I was like, oh man, I probably tapped a little quick in that. Maybe I could have left it a bit longer. I could have tried different things, like some escapes. I know that might be lower percentage, but it's like you might as well try it before you tap. But then again, that feeling now I can reflect on that, and that's like a lesson learned. It's not just like, oh well, you gave up too quick. So things to be gained from it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I thought I let everyone down in that room that night. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I felt that was your immediate thought, but like you, your team, your family, everyone knows how hard you trained and like how good how good you are, and that yeah, you will just learn from this and kind of bounce back. So yeah, it was a shame to see you so down about it, but yeah, you should be proud that you made it. Like only one of us here is a professional fighter, and yeah, you should be proud of yeah, like you said, there were only a few little mistakes, and unfortunately, he's such a good dude that you paid the price. But yeah, keen to
Yeah,
see you back.
absolutely.
And
What is the opposite of an undefeated fighter? Because that was what I've been discussing with my coach is I've gone from undefeated to like
winless.
unwinning. Like, yeah, winless. So in that one, I went like, I don't know, got to start a new slogan or something. Number one amateur, worst professional.
Yeah, undefeated as an amateur and winless as a pro.
Yeah. So hopefully this isn't the start of a new trend.
Yes, yes. Well, yeah, it was good to see you bounce back with a million beers and whatever was that bucket of margarita that you had.
That was horrible, mate.
So I might attach the video of that one for the pod here. But yeah, that was a bucket
Yeah.
of like lukewarm, meant to be frozen margarita. But yeah, it's good to see that. Yeah, you'll bounce back, and yeah, there are a few fight nights and things coming back towards the end of the year. So
Yeah. Yeah. There's heaps going on at the moment. And like, I was probably Sunday on the way home. My coach was getting messages. Oh, hey, how's Chris doing? Like, because other promoters, I'm assuming, were probably watching that card for like it was a pretty exciting card for like for featherweight, sorry, on there,
yeah,
and looking for who they could potentially match up, and seeing me like taking no damage out of that. Yeah, I'd say me and Dom are the first two. You'd be like, I could have these guys fight next weekend.
yeah,
But like Me getting sick this week probably threw a spanner in the works for getting a really quick turnaround because that did break the momentum there. I haven't stepped on the scales yet, so that's probably going to be pretty disgusting. But so I'd imagine it's probably going to be back into like a full camp again for the next fight rather than just riding off that and getting another fight in 2 or 3 weeks from there. But it's still, I'm keen to get straight back into the gym and get after it again.
Yeah, there are a few opportunities at the back end of the year. Hey, so
Yeah.
you'll fight again in 2026. On that though, so it was your pro debut. You fought on Eternal a few times before. What was the Did you feel much difference in being on the pro side? Like you were on a pretty big card as an amateur. Like you were on Eternal 100. So, did it feel much different to you?
Not a whole lot. Only on fight night, the only thing I'd say is fighting later on. Probably two things. Like you have more time before the fights to kill, and fight day it's pretty cool, but it's also pretty boring because you can't really do a whole lot. You're just sitting around twiddling your thumbs, like, can I go punch this guy and get it over with? Whereas as an amateur, when you're earlier on the card, like you get to the venue, there's a rules meeting at the start, then everyone sort of starts doing their thing. That's normally when all the officials go upstairs and you start wrapping your hands and everything. The show starts.
Yep.
But as a pro, they're like, you know what's going on. You don't need to come in for the rules meeting. So you can rock up later on. You don't have to be sitting around for 3 or 4 hours waiting for your card to start. So you rock in later, but all like you got more useless time all through the day to kill. And then the other trade-off is you got less time after your fights. There's less fights for you to watch, which just sucks because I love watching fights. But I kind of hate watching them before my fight. Like one fight, I've been back and watched it now, but I really wanted to see Todorov versus Corcoran. Knowing both those guys, I was like, that's going to be a really sick fight. That was on while I was warming up, and my coach was like hitting me with the mitts as I'm like throwing and everything moving. And then I'd like zig and I'd see the TV and I'm like, oh, he's dropped him. I'm like, oh, wow, what's going on here? Oh, he's picked him up and he's going to slam me. And the coach is like, fucking, come on, man, focus. That, yeah, like even I'll be fine hitting pads. Heart rate's probably at like 60 beats a minute. Like I'm chill. I look over and see two amateurs fighting and my heart rate just spikes. Like it's a weird thing. You don't really want to be, or at least for me, I don't like being in that position. So yeah, I can't enjoy fights until after mine's done.
Yeah, so like it increases that nervous wave, that nervous sort of energy, and then
Yeah.
decreases your party time and watching fights time. So
Yeah. But it is cool not having to sit around for, not that I hate the rules meeting, but not having to do the rules meeting. You can just rock up when you're ready. I haven't actually, I was going to ask Dom about this after the fight, but I think I was getting my hands wrapped. I was like doing something. I had my head down and my coach saw Dom walk into like the change rooms and that, and he had a coffee in his hand. And mind you, this is probably like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. And he's like, oh, at least he's nice and calm. Like, I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? So I was going to ask him, I was like, bro, did you walk in with a coffee? Uh, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah, he's a very relaxed dude. I
Yeah.
doubt a coffee even like peps him up too much. Like, yeah, it's just another day. Yeah, cool dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was Eternal, and yeah, we've spoken earlier in the year how there'll be a Grow Strong in your hometown. So yeah, looking forward to that, and I think Full Time Media might pop over to that one.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Hopefully, like I'll have a match to announce on that soon. I'd be hoping. I know that was a priority after getting this fight out of the way. It was like, let's get a name down so we can start trying to push this event.
Yeah. We had Quillan Salkilld fight on the weekend. Did you watch that one, Chris?
Oh, of course I did, mate. There's no way I was going to miss that.
Yeah. Well, what were your thoughts on that?
It was a really good fight for Quillan. I think this is going to be awesome for his career and like the trajectory of it. That's going to propel him right into that upper echelon. And it did answer a few questions because there were people talking about like he's a good fighter, but he's moving too quick. He doesn't belong with those top five guys. But to be able to do that to Gamrot, and while Gamrot's not a top five guy, he's a very crafty vet and he's had some awesome fights with pretty much everyone in the top five. And I don't think he ever really gets completely shut out like that. I mean, he has been finished by a few guys there, but like he's beaten Sarikin.
Yeah, he beat Sarukian in a 5-round back and forth, like split decision win. Like no one really separated themselves in that fight. I think the only other time he was submitted was Garry.
Oliveira?
Yeah, Oliveira submitted him in the second, but not in the first in the way that
Yeah.
Quillan did.
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy to see him do that. For me, watching it, it felt like the Volkanovski versus Chad Mendes fight. Just in terms of it was their time to shine against
Yeah,
a really strong dude, and yeah, to showcase all their skills. Like I remember because I rewatched the fight this morning with Quillan and Gamrot. And yeah, I was just like, I could watch this a million times. And the last time I really felt like that was, yeah, Volkanovski versus Mendes, because it's a guy that we knew was good and he just got to showcase it to the world.
absolutely. Yeah. So it was really cool to watch. I like Quillan, not just because he's Australian, but even I think his social media, what he does outside of the cage is pretty cool too. So I do like following him, and it's going to be awesome whoever he gets paired with next. And just watching like some of his press conference stuff afterwards and that too, he was like, I don't really mind who I get here. So I know he's not going to be sitting there going, oh, it needs to be number one or number two, or it needs to be definitely this is a title eliminator or anything. Like he's going to get a good fight for his next one. He's going to take that, and I think even just with that attitude, as long as he does well in his next fight, that's probably a title eliminator, and that's going to put him in there now. So that's so cool for Australia.
Yeah, we have two like amazing lightweights right now with Tom Nolan
Yeah,
and Quillan Salkilld, and yeah, they're really showing it. The one thing I thought though was there's a slight missed opportunity with Quillan. I would have just been calling out Charles Oliveira for the BMF belt. Like he has like a very big fan
yeah,
base, I guess. Like even Americans, like everyone loves him because of his persona, his personality, and what he's had almost all of his fights finish in the first round. Yeah, I feel like he probably could have, not many could, but he could have called for the BMF belt against Charles. And he's someone where I'm not really worried about the submission game as much of Charles Oliveira against Quillan, where it's like, then we
yeah.
can see some strikers have the BMF back if the BMF isn't dead.
That's a pretty interesting take. Especially he probably could have picked up a late year, like end of year fight with Charles there, it being in that he just pulled out of that fight next month. Uh, yeah, that probably is a pretty big missed opportunity because the BMF would just be a huge thing for to propel him forwards in terms
Yeah,
of all the extra marketing that he'd get behind him there. I
it's
think the
so much.
UFC love him too, just because he does so well on the mics and with all the media work.
Yeah, yeah, because he's everything that they look for. They look for this type of superstar. It's a different part of the world as well, being Australia. Yeah, I just feel that he probably could have got that if he called for it really well, like did that Nate Diaz type of just like fuck it, I don't care if I don't get it, but act like he fully deserves it. It's like if he called out that he is the BMF of the lightweight division, Charles Oliveira, let's fight later on in the year, it really could have propelled him to superstardom, which I think if he
Yeah,
keeps fighting the way he does, he's kind of destined for, because he could very well become the actual champ. But BMF just
yeah,
propels, it's just free marketing.
absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, so good to see him get that win. And yeah, he could very well be Australia's next champion.
Oh, definitely. So it's almost a shame because I think we are only talking recently. You're saying that there's a silent agreement that Quillan and Tom Nolan won't fight each other unless it's for a belt.
Yeah.
And here I am in my head. I was like, oh yeah, so that's a fair while away. But really, like as we're here talking about Quillan's, like that's probably not that far away for him to get a belt. And if Tom Nolan keeps doing the things he's doing, it could be next year he's knocking on the door of it. It's like, oh, far out. Yeah,
On that, I believe it was on a podcast. Tom did say that whoever wins the belt of them two first, they get a few defenses and then they move up and the other person, like give that other person an opportunity. I feel like that's a bit of
oh,
their silent agreement.
okay. Well, that's better then, because I was like, oh wow, they're probably not that far off. Both of them potentially being them.
Yeah, and especially with the trajectory of Quillan, I feel like Tom might be, yeah, four or so fights away from a title,
Yeah,
whereas Quillan, it's a little bit closer.
yeah,
The
definitely.
only concern is that knee. I think I know he got caught in that knee bar, but I think it was his left leg in that first wrestling exchange where Gamrot like grabbed the single leg. His knee was in a very funky spot. And I did see in the post-fight press conference, he did mention a wrestling exchange where he's like a little bit worried about the knee.
Okay, so I guess we'll have to wait and see what comes out from scans.
Yeah,
Hopefully it's nothing major.
because I think it was the right knee that he got in that like ankle lock knee bar sort of position, but his left knee, I think they had wrapped up, and he was limping on that after the fight. So that's my only concern with I'd love to see him fight Charles, but I just think the fact that he didn't call it for a BMF belt, it probably won't be pushed as that. Yeah, sweet. And then in terms of what's been going on with full-time media, so I've been fairly busy lately writing for the Australian MMA, and the magazine is out. So if you go on the Australian MMA website, issue 3, there was 2 features of that one that I've written. Tom Nolan and Sean Gauci both have been overseas fighting and both winning. So it's a pretty cool moment to be involved in that. So anyone that hasn't bought it, to buy that magazine and check all that out, because it's really cool. Him supporting, like, it's from regional fighters to, I think, Bedtime MMA's in there, to Tom Nolan, and really cool to see him just support grassroots MMA. And then with that being finished, it's given me a bit more time. So we're currently still waiting to get the keys to our house, but I'm hoping to get back into regularly, doing some episodes. So you and I, Chris, will be doing this once a month to do the UFC previews, and then I'm hoping to do a weekend wrap each, like Sunday afternoon, just do a 20-minute recap on sports, and keep these interviews coming, maybe not as regularly as I was doing initially, but maybe like once or twice a month. Especially with this magazine, it's opened up opportunities and some relationships with some cool people that I think will come on the pod. So that'll be cool. So that's everything in terms of what's to be expected in full-time media. And then
all sounds awesome.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks, man. And then our tips at the moment are, I'm 8 from 13 and you're 9 from 13. So we had the McGregor card, and just your overall thoughts on that.
A bit lackluster, wasn't it, in the end with I mean, we didn't expect much out of McGregor anyway, but probably a little more than that would have been good. But I think that locks us in that we're going to have to go through this again. Like, he's going to come back in a year and we're going to be having that same chat again in a year from now. One thing that I found interesting is supposedly he hasn't had a surgery on that leg yet. He's just been in like PT rehabbing it that way, which if it was a significant tear, I'm not a doctor, so I had no idea, but I'm assuming you would probably need surgery on it. And I would feel like if you got McGregor money, you'd just get that done straight away. You wouldn't be sitting around for months waiting to do it. But I don't know. Like, the other thing you look at, like Corey Sandhagen tore his hamstring in the first round of that fight, in that submission. He still fights through and loses the decision there. Like, whereas you got McGregor, who blows it out very early in the fight and like can barely even move, let alone perform in the fight. And I just think it's interesting because they're in like a very similar position there, and you never know, because like there might have been way less stability in McGregor's leg than what there was in Sandhagen's, but you could definitely tell it was affecting Sandhagen. It was moving super funny for the next 2 rounds. But he just wants it way more than what McGregor does.
Yeah, he adjusted really well. Like, he only fought, was it orthodox? Like, he only fought in the one stance, whereas he switches a lot. Like, it changed his fight style and the way that he fought and everything that he did. But he accounted for that. Like, he wanted to push through. And I think it highlighted what we said at the start. It's like, why does McGregor want this? And it's probably to get out of, like, to finish his contract up and then get the super money fights and fight on bare knuckle boxing, or fight on fight Jake Paul or something like that. Like, he can hype it up all he wants that he's going to be champ or whatever, but like, you and I don't really believe it. So it's nuts.
Especially now with 1 fight left on his contract, like, there's no way his next one's going to be for a title. And even if he wins his next one, I doubt he's re-signing for a title. Like, he wants out of there.
Yeah, and he keeps saying he's a welterweight, so he's 5'9". Are they going to give him like Carlos Prates? Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Just give him Chandler and let them ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's a good last fight for him.
Yeah, like they hyped up the Chandler fight and then they took it away and gave us Roofy versus Chandler and that one. So I always complain
Yeah.
about that. And on that, obviously we'll talk about it a bit more next month. That Roofy got announced to fight Tarukian, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah, that'd be a cool fight. And like even this card that we've got coming up this weekend is a little bit lackluster, but we spoke about it. I think when we previewed the White House card, when we're like, obviously they weren't going to have all their champions on there because that'll ruin like two or three cards either side of it if you have all your stars on one card.
mhm.
We've had two pretty good cards back to back now. I
Yeah.
feel like we're feeling that a little bit on this card now. We're like, oh, that's maybe not the best card here. Like, it's got a pretty good main event, and then after that, you're like, oh, I don't know where the rest of the card is here. But it's good to see that next month we're getting another good card. So it's not as if this is going to be 3 or 4 months of you've got one or two good fights per card. Like that next card just looks stacked.
Yes, yeah, that next card looks awesome. But yeah, we'll spend our time trying to hype up this UFC 330 that's ahead of us. And yeah, as per our usual, we've picked a prelim each, and then we'll go into the main card. And my prelim pick was Jeremiah Wells versus Mikdebek Oralbai. Um,
I don't think it's possible for either of us to pronounce that correctly.
yeah, I'm shit with names. So anyway, the reason I picked this one is I just think it's kind of value.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Wells is $6.25, and Oralbai has a lot of hype behind him, but Jeremiah Wells is in every single fight that he's in. His losses are like generally split decisions. Like most of his fights are kind of that split decision type of fight because he's a heavy wrestler with a lot of top control, doesn't land heaps of strikes, and then doesn't absorb a lot of strikes either. And Olby fights a similar type of way when he gets to
Yeah.
dictate the pace. When someone else is really pressing the fight, he will fight. But yeah, I just think it's a really good value. So that's why that was my pick. So give us your thoughts on this fight.
It is an interesting fight, I think, in the grappler style matchup, like you say. I think Wells is probably going to be have the edge in physicality a little bit. I think, like just in previous fights, what we've seen, to me, he looks more physical than what Oral Y. Is that what we're going with?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I think Oral Y is more of that pace, constant pressure type fighter with kind of the same grappling top pressure style.
Mhm.
The difference here, this being at welterweight, I'm going to hold the age up a little less than I have in a lot of previous fights. I've just been like, oh, that guy's too old
Yeah,
and written him
we
off. But
talk about age every second fight.
oh yeah, but so there's 11-year age gap between these two, with Orolbai being the younger of the two. Welterweight is probably where I'd say age has like a medium impact on it. Once you start getting to middleweight and that, I think you can fight a little bit older. Obviously, the lighter weight classes are the opposite of that. But I'm actually going to lead towards Orolbai. I'm going to follow the odds with this one. But I do think it has a lot of potential to be an exciting matchup here. And there's a few of them on here I was going to point out that as we go through later on, when you have two grapplers like that, quite often you end up with a six striking match where like you've got two mediocre strikers going at it. So you're not seeing the most like two really slick Corey Sandhagen's playing this chess battle. You got two guys that drop their hands occasionally, stick their chin out there, make mistakes, and they're just cracking each other because they're both too scared to grapple with each other. So it could turn into quite an exciting fight.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, possibly. I haven't picked this on entertainment value. I just think it's a bit of value for the punters because it very well could just be clinching against the cage for 15 minutes as well. But
Most definitely.
like you said, sometimes when grapplers face each other, you're seeing people that aren't um, that'll sometimes brawl, and that's what Oralby has done before. He's been in some really good brawls. I don't think I've seen Jeremiah Wells like most of these fights. When I was looking at the stats, he's landing like 15 strikes in the 3 round fight and whatnot.
Yeah.
So he's not landing heaps. Yeah, I just think $6.25 is crazy in a 2 horse race with someone like Jeremiah Wells was underdog in his last fight. I remember backing him against Garimbo, and yeah, I just think he gets a little bit overlooked, but he's in every fight, and I think that the odds should be closer. So I'll tip Jeremiah Wells just solely off
Okay.
a value base. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be the most entertaining fight. Whereas your prelim, on the other hand, I think that's the opposite. That's two elite strikers. So
This
yeah,
should be a good one, I think.
yeah. So Jalen Turner versus, is it Cal? Fernandez. He would just say
Uh,
Fernandez. Hey.
Fernandez, yeah. I think this is going to be quite a really good fight here. Like the thing that always stands out for Jalen Turner whenever you look at him fighting anyone is the height. He is a huge lightweight. Is Tom Nolan taller than him?
They're both listed as 6'3".
Okay. Okay. Wow.
I'd have to get the ruler out, the tape measure out.
But yeah, so like really tall guys. And then I've got to hear that so Jalen's going to have a 16 centimeter height advantage and a 10 centimeter reach advantage, which both of those are going to be huge because one of the things with a height advantage over necessarily even a reach advantage is if your shoulders are at the same height as their chin or their head, you're punching in a straight line, so your arms are going to be longer, whereas they're going to have to punch upwards towards your chin, which is going to reduce their reach.
Yeah.
So immediately there, just being taller accentuates the reach that someone has. I do think this is going to be quite exciting, though, just because it's hard to say with Jalen if his best days are behind him, because there was that talk recently in one of his fights where he had a loss. He was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. It looked like he'd sort of
yeah, he retired. He left the gloves in the octagon and said he retired and then come back. I can't remember how long, maybe a year or so later.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. When you factor in like retiring and then, all right, I'm going to get back in the gym and like train for another fight. I feel like he was probably retired for like 2 days before I saw a poster come up of like, all right, I'm back in the gym. I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
But I really like Jalen. So I think this is going to be a really exciting fight here. I'm going to tip Jalen in this one, but Fernandez is also on a 3-fight win streak here. So I think both guys are really going to bring it, and it's either going to be like a breakout for Fernandez, kind of getting into, I won't say the top of the division, but getting towards the top of the division, probably like where Quillan was before his win. It's sort of going to push him into that area where he can start to fight people with a bit of a bigger name and push himself towards the title. And if Jalen wins here, it's kind of him almost being like, no, I know I retired, but I haven't lost anything. I belong in the top of this division.
Yeah.
Because Jalen's been hot and cold a little bit lately anyway, but a lot of everyone he's fighting is a good fighter. So even the guys he's lost to, he belongs in the top of the division.
Yeah. In his last 6, he's 2 wins and 4 losses. Like you said, they're all good fighters. And as well, another point, he's kind of almost won every single one of those fights as well. Like he dropped Gamrot, he walked away from Renato Moicano. I think he even rocked Bahamondes. And there's another fight. Dan Hooker.
Yeah.
He wasn't too far off finishing that one either, and I think almost any other human on the planet probably would have gave up after copping that flogging. So and they're his 4 losses. And then he retired after the Bahamondes loss, and then he come back and beat the shit out of Edson Barboza. So it's like, was it a mindset thing? Was there a bit going on where he needed to stop, reset? So we'll find that out. And I think for me, the most interesting thing, like you make a great point. It's 5'9" versus 6'3", and I'm 5'10", and I've sparred a guy that's skinny like myself, but like 6'3", and like you cannot hit them to the head. Like it's near impossible. Like the head, it just is not there. All they need to do is move it back a little bit. So very hard to hit the head, but Fernandez is a really good kicker. I think 2 of his last 3 fights, he's pretty much just won by kicking the shit out of his opponent's legs. A few things on that as well is Jalen Turner, he's really good at when people throw naked kicks, which Fernandez does a lot, when you just throw a kick to the leg without any real setup. He's really good. He caught Brad Riddell doing that, and Brad Riddell, an elite striker, threw a naked kick, got clipped, I think, with a left hook, which stunned him. And then he's just got such good submission skills that he then submitted him. So it's just such an interesting matchup where it's like, is Fernandez, who fights really long, he fights with huge range. Is he going to still have success with the kicks, or is Turner going to be able to catch him coming in? So it's very interesting to see how they set that
Yeah.
up.
Who are you tipping in this one?
I was Jalen Turner the whole time. Like when you said the fight, I was like, and then I've gone back and I watched all Fernandez's fights, and like I'm a fan because I didn't like his Hardwick fight because all he did was spam leg kicks. It's like playing the UFC game. So I'm jumping ship and I'm gonna go Fernandez. I think he's just a really good striker, and it will be fun to see someone fresh like that in the division. I don't think I care either way, but he was a slight underdog. I think like $2.40 or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, going another underdog for Toby here. So this could be where I separate myself from you and fall well behind. Just going greedy with the value here, but yeah, I think it's a really interesting matchup, and I just don't know what to expect. So I'll just go the underdog. Hey,
Sounds good.
all right.
What have you got as the first fight on the main card? Because I have found a few different listings for the main card.
It was a mess. Hey,
Yeah.
I basically couldn't find the Johnson fight. So essentially, what I did was I just went on the website, and Edson Barboza versus Ribovics was what I found as the first fight on the main card.
Yeah.
And then so it listed all the fights except for the Johnson versus Ochoa one, which I just assumed would be on the main card as well, because you're probably not going to have a 4-fight main card. It'll be 5.
Yeah. Like some of them I saw had the Chidi Njokuani fight on the main card and some didn't. And yeah, it was a mess.
Would yeah, okay, whatever you've prepped for, but I didn't even look at the Chitty fight. Sorry.
No, that's all good. That's all good. I did some loose notes on it, but yeah, didn't do a whole heap just for that reason, because I was like, I have no idea
Yeah.
that's getting listed.
Is it a fight you care about that much?
Not a whole lot. I'm happy to throw a tip at it just because I feel like I've probably got an edge on you, but it's all good.
Let's go. Throw a tip on the next one. We don't have to really talk to it, but I'll just go Joel Alvarez.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, and I'm going to go Alvarez as well. Good pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's either going to be Chitty knocked it out in like 20 seconds or he overextends and gets taken down. Like,
Yeah.
I think the writing's on the wall for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we can go back to ignoring that one because, yeah, so Edson Barboza versus Esteban Ribovics is, the fight I thought was the start of the main card. We'll find out on Sunday. And, yeah, we've got Edson Barboza. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this one?
I love Edson. I love old school Edson. I still love Edson, but lightweight, I always talk about the age. There's 10-year age gap here. We've already seen Barboza move down in weight recently, went to featherweight, had mixed success there. Didn't do amazingly. Like he still did his best work when he was a lot younger at lightweight, but I think it was a good move for him going to featherweight. Now that he's stopped having any success at featherweight, he's like, oh, maybe I'll go back up. I don't think that was necessarily a good move for him. And if this was a 30-year-old Edson against a 30-year-old Ribovics, I think it'd be a pretty exciting fight. But yeah, like the pressure of Ribovics is just going to be very difficult. That's the key to beating Edson, especially when he's older, because he doesn't have the ability he had when he was younger. To pressure was still good. Like Khabib pressured him when he was younger, and that didn't work out well for Edson. But a lot of other fighters who pressured him, he was able to walk them backwards onto shots and things. He just doesn't have that ability in his older age. I mean, we saw like Bryce Mitchell outstriking Edson. So, and I don't think that's because Bryce Mitchell's a better striker. I think it's because we're just seeing Father Time catch up with him. Yeah. So, yeah. Edson's riding a 3-fight losing streak at the moment now, and I don't think this fight's going to be any different, sadly.
Yeah. Do you know how old he is?
He's 40.
Yeah.
And Ribovics is 30.
Yeah, so what I've got is, the 3-fight skid. He's 4 wins and 10 losses in his last 14 fights. And so, like you said, like he was great about a decade ago. Really, really exciting, good fighter. But Yeah, Esteban Ribovics is one of my favorite up and coming fighters. His output is insane. He's really, really good striking, and he always lifts his output. So my tip for this one, because he lands 7.27 strikes per minute, just insane output.
Yeah, super
But
high.
absorbs 5.84, which you can't do against like a Edson Barboza and a really powerful striker. So I think that's the only thing there is his high output means he does get hit a bit. I think that's the only concern. But I think his high output, and having a look, I think his third round, he lands like 50 strikes in almost every single one of his third rounds in like his last 3 fights. So 50 strikes landed is insane for a round 3 output. I reckon he beats Edson Barboza in the third round. I think you'll see him like melt him. In that final round. That's my tip for that.
Yeah. It's a shame, as I say, because when Edson could walk him onto a wheel kick, that would have made the fight really exciting. But now I just think he's going to be a little too slow, and as he's either going to put his foot down and they're going to be in a firefight, which I don't think is good for Edson, or if he decides to try and back up, give some space, and then try and walk Ribovics onto anything, I think he's just going to get caught sort of halfway in that attack, and then again, that pushes him back onto his heels and he starts eating the shots even worse. And that just builds more and more momentum, which, as you say, Ribovics, like, just, he thrives with momentum. He just adds and adds and adds to what he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And but he was involved in 2 fight of the nights. I think in like his last 4, he's been involved in 2. So I think it will be a fun fight. But yeah, that high output will be fun, but I just don't think it's going to favor him. So are you tipping Ribovics as well?
Yeah, I'm going to go Ribovics.
All right, this next fight, I'm not that interested in. Mansour Abdulmalik versus Dustin Stoltzfus. What are your thoughts on this one?
A little bit of an age gap here. We've got 6 years between the two here, with Abdul Malik being the younger of the two. But he has a little bit of height and reach. So, he's got 5 centimeters of reach, but 5 centimeters of height, but 13 centimeters of reach. So we are going to see that coming into play, like we are talking about earlier there. I think with him being a lot younger too, that is a good thing, because like you said, it is harder to get to someone that has that extra height and reach on you. But if you're talking about a heavyweight, that's not quite as much, because all you got to do is slip a punch and then you're going to be on them. But when you're talking about someone that can move a lot better, it is quite difficult, because you get out of the way of that first shot and they just keep backing up, or they just keep leaning their head back, and you can never find that person. So I'm leaning more towards Abdul Malik with this one.
Yeah.
And one of the big tells for me is that Dustin, how did you pronounce his last name again? I thought you did good with that.
Stoltzfus. Now I'm worse at it.
Yeah, with Dustin, I'm just looking at the fact he's coming off 2 KO losses, but that could really go both ways there, because as well, he's probably sitting there thinking, like, if I drop another one here, there's a reasonable chance that I could lose my contract. So he's probably coming out fighting for his career right now.
Yeah.
Which is, he's probably trained the hardest he's ever trained before and that. So I think I'm still going to tip towards Abdul Malik. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Dustin is 3 wins and 7 losses in the UFC. So he's not elite talent. Abdul Malik, he suffered his first ever loss recently, but that was against a guy that was like 6'7". And like we're saying, he's the taller guy in this matchup. He's probably used to being one of the taller guys. So when you're used to being the taller guy and you find someone that's 6 foot, both 6'6" or 6'7", he just couldn't deal with that, and he got smashed in that fight. So I think he's probably taken away some learnings, probably even learned a bit in terms of being the taller fighter, how to really just shut down your opponent. So yeah, I think this is a open and closed case of Abdul Malik gets the win here.
I think so. Have you looked at the odds on this one?
Yeah, $1.18 for Abdul Malik. We're not really.
Okay. Damn.
So maybe pick a method on that one if you're trying to find some value. Um, and then, so yeah, the next fight is Charles Johnson versus Josh Ochoa.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this fight?
I think this would be a good one. Like, flyweight fights are a little bit funny. They can either be really good or they can be quite average, I feel. Just
Mm.
because, like, you they've almost got to trick you into the fact that, like, yeah, we could knock each other out at any moment, which, don't get me wrong, flyweights do knock each other out
Charles
sometimes.
Johnson can. I think not that many can, but someone like Charles
Yeah.
Johnson can. And as an Australian's, Steve Ursay just
Steve
is
Urkel,
got,
yeah.
he got knocked out. So
Yeah.
um, yeah,
He's got that knockout where I felt really bad for the other guy, but like the ref comes over to him after and like patting him on the back. He's like, "Oh mate, I don't know what sounded worse. You getting punched or your head bouncing off the canvas?" And I was like, as if you say that to someone that's just been knocked out, man.
yeah.
But yeah, so with flyweights, but then you look at like a Joshua Van versus who am I thinking of? Royval. Like the whole
Mm.
time you're like, oh my God, they could knock each other out at any moment. That's one of the greatest fights you'll ever watch. So
Mm.
I want to believe this is going to be a really good fight. Just looking at it, like you say, you with Charles Johnson, you sit there and go like can finish this fight. And just the pace of is Jose?
Oh yeah, Jose. Sorry, I said
Jose.
Josh.
Yeah.
Jose.
Yeah. So with Jose, like I think the pace that he's going to bring with it too, it's going to be that classic flyweight speed where they're all over the place and the output's crazy in there. But as well, you've got like just the bazooka at flyweight that Charles Johnson has there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited for this one.
Yeah, I think I've used some math here where if you think Jose is going to be any good, he's going to lose to Charles Johnson because like anyone, like any up and comer that fights Charles Johnson loses, and like Lania Kavanagh and Joshua Van, they've both lost to him. They've both been knocked out after beating him for 2 and a bit rounds. So if you think Jose is going to be good, I think he might get knocked out.
That's an interesting take. I like it. So you've heard it here first.
Yeah, so my tip will be Johnson, just because yeah, he's just such a tough challenge for up and coming guys, and if Jose approaches it a little bit lightly, he could get caught. Johnson's they're both quite well rounded. All flyweights are really well rounded, but Johnson's at $4, and I think that's what's singing to me. So
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good pick. This might be one of those ones where I'm gonna say one thing here is my vote, but I'm gonna put my money somewhere else just because it's a smarter investment. But I'm gonna go with Jose on this one. Um, but yeah, that $4 is quite a tempting
yeah,
bet. So
yeah, I
yeah,
thought it was pretty crazy in a 2 horse race for Charles Johnson, who has wins over the champion and future champion Lania Kavanagh. Yeah, but we've also seen him lose to yeah, some pretty mediocre people as well.
isn't that funny how MMA match just doesn't work out like that?
Yeah, it just
Yeah,
shows like how what we talked to with your fight at the start. Um, just sometimes it just won't be your night, and there's just no way out of it.
yeah, yeah. Or someone's just got the other guy's number, and it's like, yeah. Look at Paul Craig like defeating Uncle Ive, and then he just goes and loses someone you've never heard of, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, yeah. All right, and so this co-main event of the evening is Gillian Robertson versus Mackenzie Dern. What are you thinking about this one?
When I heard this fight and I was looking at the card, I was like, oh, okay, like it's a title fight and it's on there and everything. The more I looked into it, probably the more excited I actually got for it, though. Yeah, so when you look at these two ladies, they're both predominantly grapplers with their style. Mackenzie Dern, obviously coming from that famous Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background, being a submission specialist there. But Gillian Robertson, also in her own right, is quite a good grappler. Probably more with the wrestling, the ground and pound, I think, is where uh, she's more dangerous for Dern rather than submitting her. I sort of doubt she defeats Dern that way. But again, one of the common things that you see when you get two really good grapplers in there with each other is a pretty sloppy striking match. So that could turn this fight into something really exciting, even if it's not that they want to knock each other out or anything. It can just be that sometimes like I think Dom thought it's about me, the bastard. But sometimes people think that when you get someone under pressure, they take sloppy shots, and that's where you can catch guillotines and things like that. Or it can be that, because they've got pretty good grappling, I'm going to try and rock this person before I try and take them down so I can get straight to a really good position. So that could mean that we see them spending 4 minutes of the round on their feet trying to either pressure that person into taking a crappy shot for a takedown or trying to rock them, get them out of position so that they can get really deep on a clean takedown and take them down, like either straight to mount or straight to side control, something like that, get them out of position and get their back while they're standing. So in theory, this could turn into quite an exciting fight in that regard. I don't think either of them are super well-rounded strikers or anything, but I mean that didn't stop Kamaru and Colby Covington from giving us some pretty good fights there. And they were both predominantly wrestlers going into that, but we saw very little wrestling out of them.
Yep. Yeah. Like the gentleman's agreement there on that one.
Yeah.
I think of the Mackenzie Dern, how she got the belt. That fight I didn't really watch. I remember falling asleep, like being in and out of sleep during it. I must have had a big night the night before or something, because I was like, I just remember waking up and it's like, oh, they're kind of just not a lot happening with grappling. And that's what I feel like this fight's going to be. Where you said Jillian probably doesn't threaten her with submissions. I don't think she threatens her with ground and pound either. I think she's just got to try and win three rounds. And I've been a bit negative with this card, and this fight's another one I'm a little bit negative on. It's
understandable.
Because with Mackenzie Dern, she was meant to be the next Ronda Rousey. Like, she's quite attractive. She's got good. She's got an elite background in grappling, and I've just, even though she's champ, it doesn't feel anywhere near the same though, does it?
No. Well, and as you say, she was meant to be like the next Ronda Rousey, but Rousey was going out there and submitting everyone inside of a minute.
Yeah.
And I think Mackenzie Dern's got a better submission pedigree, maybe not necessarily the takedowns to back it up or anything. And obviously her level of competition, I think, is a lot better. But yeah, Mackenzie Dern's going out there and should be dominating girls, but she's decisioning them, and the submissions she's working a lot harder for, and it's not as exciting.
Yeah. And I think that's another good point as well is, the submissions, she's more position over submission type, whereas a Rousey kind of isn't. She's just ragdoll, you get you in that position. And we saw recently with Jesse James Parr on the regional scene is like how exciting. It's people say they hate grappling or whatever, but it's like no one hates when you're going for a flying triangle or flying armbar or something. Like if you're treating submissions like a knockout punch. And I think that's what Ronda Rousey did. And it's just something that Mackenzie Dern, like, it's just not her style. And because of that, we've just seen her fight a lot of decisions. This is another one where I thought, like, Gillian Robertson, who's 7-1 in the UFC, or 7-1 in her last 8 fights. And
yeah, I'll have a look at that, but keep going.
And I think 5-fight win streak as well. Very, like, on a really good tear, a very underrated tear. Whereas Mackenzie Dern, I don't think she's ever strung 5 wins together. And to see Jillian at $3.25 and Mackenzie Dern at $1.36, this is another one where I just feel the odds should have been closer.
I haven't got her full record here, but 5-fight win streak you're right about. But she has been, I even have this in my notes here, she's been in the UFC since 2017. So when you said 7-1, I was like...
probably that'll be her last 8 fights.
I was like, hang on a second, she's only had 8 fights since then? I was like, that's pretty wild. But yeah, and that's all in fairly recent history, whereas I don't feel that Mackenzie Dern is as active as what Gillian Robertson is.
Yep.
I could actually fact check that, but yeah. So I mean, that could definitely play into that here as well. So, I mean, at least we're seeing this title doing a little bit, because I feel like, I mean, actually, there's a few good champions there, but like Weili Zhang, when she had it, it was a pretty exciting division. I used to like watching her fight because she was quite aggressive, and you're watching her like elbow people's faces to bits.
And I think when she comes back, she probably beats both of these women. So if she comes back to strawweight.
Yeah, well, I think that'd be a good move for her because, moving the flyweight with Valentina just wasn't the right move.
Yeah. Yeah, correct. So yeah, what's your tip with this one? Yeah, I'm not predicting it to be the most exciting fight, and I'm going once again another underdog in Gillian Robertson for this one.
I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern on this one. And you heard it here first. This will be fight of the night.
Crazy prediction. I'm predicting the Barboza Rebovix one to be fight of the night then, if we're gonna chuck a sneaky.
Yeah, you definitely haven't gone for the underdog fight there.
I've done it in all my tips, so that's all fair. And then the main event, a very exciting fight.
Yeah, this one will be good.
Yeah, a fight that will answer a lot of questions as well. Um, Islam Makhachev versus Ian Garry. What are your thoughts on this one?
Very exciting, I think. So we are going to see, this is probably the first time that I'm not going to just automatically go with the person with the height advantage, but we are going to have to see Islam deal with that height. I'm going to be interested, though, to see if there is a strength advantage or if it's fairly even in here. Islam has been at welterweight for, I know this will only be his second fight now, but time-wise, he's been a welterweight for quite a while now. So I think he's going to be bigger than what we remember him being, fighting, Renato Moicano and Charles Oliveira and those guys. And just with Garry being that taller, leaner frame, I feel like Islam's carrying more muscle there. So it could be interesting to see who's going to have the power advantage there or the strength advantage. And with Garry's movement and even just his style of defending takedowns, I think he'll do really well if he can keep the fight in the open. Even if it is in clinch exchanges in the open there, it'd be good if he can avoid the clinch. But if he can force Islam to have to try and take him down in the open, he's going to do a lot better than if he gets his back on the cage, which is a lot easier said than done because Islam's very good with his pressure and things. He's not a bad striker either. So I think he really leans into his grappling threat so he can be a little more reckless with his striking. And if you try and capitalize on that, he can get into the wrestling a lot easier. One thing that I'm not sure if I love for Garry with his height is going to be, obviously he can hit from a lot further away, but also means he requires more physical space. So he's going to get himself put against the cage easier than, say, what a smaller person would because he needs, 25% more space. Like just his stance is longer than theirs. He's going to need more space than what someone Islam's height's going to need. So I am going to lead towards Islam in this one, but I do think it's not as clear cut as a lot of people are like Islam's just going to run through him. I think if Garry keeps it in the open, it's going to be quite a difficult fight. And, just going strike for strike, I don't think that Islam's going to win this one. I don't think it's as clear cut as other people are saying, like, oh, it's striker v grappler. Garry's not bad on the ground, especially, as I say, in the open. He'll defend the takedowns really well. He'll return to his feet. Islam's not terrible on the feet striking either. So I think they can both threaten each other everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's a fight where you look at it as striker versus grappler, but they're very underrated in their other areas. Like Volkanovski said, he didn't expect Islam to be that good on the feet. Like, I think Islam gets painted with the same brush as Khabib, but he just isn't Khabib. He fights very differently. He hits a lot. He's a really, really good striker. So I think we'll see an excellent MMA fight in this one. I think both of them are so well-rounded. With Ian Garry, like the last few years, he's been out in Brazil, like living in Brazil, training with Charles Oliveira. Shuto Box, is that the gym?
Yeah. So, and that's going to be awesome because like Charles Oliveira has fought him. He's also done that second camp where he pulled out like before they got to the fight pit. So there's a lot of experience coming from that gym dealing with Islam.
Yep. Yeah. So I think this will be, a really good fight. I think your point of, I don't think there's going to be much of a clear gap in the striking. I don't think Garry's going to be that much better with the striking because you add the element of the takedowns.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see when it's striking a very even fight. And then, I think Islam's just got the advantage. The odds are pretty right on this one. I think $1.25 for Islam Makhachev, $4 for Ian Garry. I'm tipping Islam because I just think yeah, he's really good on the feet, and he's so good at then just setting up the takedown. And I just was worried that welterweight would be too big for him, but he manhandled JDM.
Yeah.
He didn't look out of place. He looked big and strong. And like you said, he'll only fill out to that frame even more with more time at welterweight and not really thinking about going to lightweight. Yeah, I think he'll be a lot stronger. I think he'll be pretty even on the feet. And yeah, I'm going Islam for this one.
Yeah, me too. Definitely going Islam. So I think this fight is really what's saving the card. As a lot of
Mm.
other cards, it'll be just carried by the main event. But I'm quite excited for this one to see what happens. Even if it is just that Islam goes out and walks through Ian Garry, and where that puts us with both these fighters and the welterweight division moving forwards. Because if Ian Garry wins, like that just changes the whole landscape of everything now. In terms of like if Shavkat comes back, there's pretty much an immediate rematch there because he's got to win the only win over Ian Garry then.
Mm.
Carlos Prates had a really interesting fight with Ian Garry, so it'd be pretty cool to see him get in there for the title.
Yep.
I just think it, really shakes up the division. And if Islam wins, uh, that'd be pretty big because now he's defended both of those titles, which I know now we're probably up to 10 or 12 double champs in the UFC, but not many of them have defended both of those titles.
Mm.
So that would put him in that echelon of, I think there's only 3 or 4 that have done that.
Yeah,
And
and obviously people talk, even Topuria, he never defended lightweight. He only won it, right?
so he only won it. He didn't get to defend it against Justin
Gaethje.
Gaethje.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people were talking about Ilya perhaps being the greatest fighter we've ever seen. But people just seem to forget. I think it's easy to hate on the Dagestani wrestlers. So
Yeah.
it's easy to not give them their flowers when they deserve it. But Islam, if he wins this fight, he could be very close to being one of the best fighters we've seen.
Yeah, definitely. And then there are definitely other contenders there for him at welterweight, but
Yeah.
with how good he is, he wins another 1 or 2 against, particularly if he gets like dangerous guys. Let's say he gets, uh,
There's Morales. There's
Morales. I wasn't even thinking, but particularly for Islam, I think he'd be a dangerous matchup. Carlos Prates, I think
Mhm.
if he gets him down, he'll do quite well, I think. But on the feet, like I kind of just want to see Islam beat him up for what he did to JDM.
Yeah.
But like if he gets Carlos Prates, Morales, if Shavkat can come back and look good like he did before, if he even just ticks off 2 of those guys, I think people start saying like, oh, Islam, let's look at middleweight, which would be huge because now you're like that's a really big weight jump just in that weight class. But if the fact you think as well he started at lightweight,
Mm.
for him to be potentially the first person to tick off 3 crowns, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know that he can do it, but he's got to get past Ian Garry first. And if he could do that first step, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, but yeah, this main event probably does carry the card. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, hopefully I found a bit of value for those following along because I'm going pretty rogue in my tips. I think
Yeah.
mainly just out of disappointment of this card. But yeah, thanks once again for coming on, Chris.
All good. Anytime, mate. Thank you for having me. And thank you for coming down and watching me disappoint everyone last weekend.
And yeah, maybe before we're talking about UFC 321, very pumped for that. So we'll come back
Yeah.
with a preview show for that, and hopefully we'll have some fight news and everything for everyone as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
Yeah,
It'll be a big one.
awesome. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.